I've been asked, what do I think of Geert Wilders winning the election in Holland, in the Netherlands? I must say, I'm a little bit surprised. I was brought up partly with Dutch people. I think most of my childhood we had Dutch people in and out of the house. Most of the most weeks we had Dutch people staying with us, visiting us, um, and working very much in the bulb industry in Lincolnshire, and it was very exciting. I learnt some rather rude words in Dutch when I was very young indeed, and I think I probably still remember them, unfortunately. But it's I've always found the Netherlands a very exciting place, and I've always found Dutch people terribly energetic and open and leading the way in many ways to the full European expression. So I find this quite a surprise. I don't think it was an unexpected surprise, but it is nevertheless a surprise when it finally occurs. And Wilders has described his election as a pleasant result, um, and how it requires responsibility on his part. But, he is somebody who's gone down publicly as saying that he wants to ban Islamic schools, he wants to ban the Quran, he wants to ban the building of any more mosques. He's somebody who I believe described Dutch Moroccans, as scum. It's fairly shocking. And maybe this could be tossed off as passed off, could be dismissed as the inevitable backlash to European tolerance, in the same way that we have seen the rise in French right wing anti migrant legislation as well as rhetoric, because in France, of course, it's banned to wear a hijab in public. But we're also seeing this in Italy as well. And at heart, this is moving towards a point where it is forbidden to practice one's religion in a country as one would like to be freely able to manifest one's religious belief. And there are countries where it's forbidden to display aspects of one's religion. And I think it's a great shame that this is emerging in Europe. I think there will be a swing back of the pendulum. And I think it's a misunderstanding of the importance of Islam. I think there are great religions in our world, and I think what we have to recognise, and I think what is not taught properly in schools, because religion is appallingly taught. I used to teach it. I was horrified by the syllabuses and by the piddling books, textbooks that I was given and told to teach from, and I just thought, uh, I, I I don't feel comfortable doing this because it's rubbish. It's oversimplified bosh. I remember doing a teacher training degree and listening to one of the twits teaching there, I think it was in Eltham or something, and making grand statements about Christianity believes this, Christianity believes this. And I thought, no, it's not what I believe, and it's not what my particular Christian denomination believes, and my denomination, I believe, is one of the older ones. And so I would put my hand up and say, well, that's not actually true. You're sort of slightly stuck in a post-Reformation mindset there, and you just don't know. And I remember also I used to sit at the back of the class with three Jewish girls, and because I had a background also with a Hasidic group called Lubavitch, I we would all put our hands up and say that's actually not what Jews believe. And similarly, I have links with Islam. I'm in an extraordinarily privileged position to to have in my own personal and family experience all the three great religions and varieties of each. And for myself, as somebody did ask the other day, what is your faith? I belong to the Greek Orthodox Church. I suppose if I look up to anybody as a sort of measure for myself, I suppose it would be the image of St. Francis of Assisi, which isn't fully endorsed by all the Orthodox Church. They think of him as being a Catholic saint, but I think he's a wonderful image of how to live one's life, and quite courageous in his way. The first stigmatist, incidentally, and also there's a wonderful, slightly obscure saint called Saint Euphrosynos. Saint Euphrosynos, and he was a cook in a monastery, and because he was cooking at all the times when all the monks were busy praying, he never got to go to church, and he was slightly dismissed by his fellow monks as being rather stupid and rather irreligious because he was always slaving in the kitchen. But that was his job, and when he died, he was declared a saint. And I think his life is a wonderful example of the importance of doing the job at hand. And it seems to me to sum up Harold Macmillan's thing, events, dear boy. We may all have these wonderful ideas about what we want to do and what we should be doing. But what we should be doing is what we have to do. And everything else, even if we think it's more important, everything else follows from that. We do what we've been told to do, or what we're expected to do. We do what we promise to do. And so if I've got to teach on a Sunday morning, I'm sorry, that's what I do. And if I if I do what I need to do, I think that's our job, and everything else seems to me to be an indulgence. And the first law of all the great religions, Christianity, Islam, Judaism, Buddhism, and I'm sure many others which I don't really personally know, is kindness, is thoughtfulness for our friends and those people we don't know, and our neighbours, and our commitment to our religion is measured in our care for others, and particularly in Christianity, Islam, and Judaism, our care for the stranger among us. And so that's why I cannot understand the hostility to migration. It's etched into the religious background that forms the backbone of our European civilization. So for that one thing to be so fractured is particularly worrying to me. And I don't understand. I really don't understand Nigel Farage. I accept that he's an affable and charming man, but I don't understand his mission. I think his mission is deeply wrong. And I think at heart he would agree with me that he lights up. I've seen him light up when somebody comes in the room and is interested in him, asks him a question. Who cares what the answer is? He's interested by community. He's interested by being with other people. And that, in the end, is the measure of our worth. I just happen to think that that community extends to people who don't share our language, who don't share our culture, and who want to. And as for multiculturalism, I believe that if our culture is strong enough, it will be embraced by others who come to live here. And if our culture is being so eroded by the values of commerce and greed and stupidity, and by a lack of proper education, I can see why people who come to live in the UK retain their own language, retain their own ideals, and are very reluctant to integrate. What are they integrating with? Something which is debased and something which is dying. So our job is to revive the things which are important in European culture, of which Britain is a part, as John Donne would say. No man is an island. And so I genuinely think we have a job to do, and we have a job to do fast, because we have to get Britain, we have to get Europe back on the right tracks, and we have to persuade Geert Wilders that there is more to life than winning the election. Now he has to govern, and now he has to govern all the people in the Netherlands, not just the people who he likes and who he thinks have voted for him. That's the whole point about democracy. You govern for everybody.